Hi there. Today I am going to teach you how to do the language version of changing bits on your screwdrivers. If any of you are practically inclined, you know that instead of changing the entire tool when you are using a screwdriver, let's say you go from needing one bit to needing another one because they are different. In order to screw the new kind, you need to sort of change the tip of the screwdriver. Well, instead of changing the entire screwdriver, most people have screwdriver bits which slot into the tip of the screwdriver. That's because changing the bit or the tip is easier than having 15 different screwdrivers. Because changing the entire tool just because a small part of the assignment has changed makes no sense. And the same is also true for language. Now, in language, this is called morphology. Now, this is a fancy word, but all this means is that you can add things to the beginning or the ending of a word to change the grammatical function of the word in the sentence that you're uttering or producing. So let's take, for example, the word end as an example to show you what this actually is. Now, end, this is a word that has no morphemes yet. It has nothing in like at the end of it, and it has nothing at the beginning of it. But there are things that we can slot into these two places. So if I say, for example, ending, now we have added the ing morpheme. And we have made what would have been either a verb or a noun before. We have made it into, it's still either a verb or a noun, but now we have gerundified it. Doesn't matter. You can Google gerund like this if you want to learn more about it, and I think I also mentioned it in passing in one of my other videos. But the point here is the meaning of the word has changed because we have added something. And we can continue adding stuff. So if something is ending, if I say, okay, the movie is ending, that means it's coming to the end of it. What if I say the movie is unending? And it feels like it's never gonna end, right? So now we have added another morpheme here. Unending. Are there any other morphemes we can add to this? Yeah. Do this. Unendingly. So if I say the hunger continued unendingly, that means the hunger continued in a way that did not end or seemed not to end. So all of these are morphemes. Morphemes. I am writing like a doctor today. When a word has been stripped of all of its morphemes, we are left with something called the root or the stem of the word. Okay, so that's the basics. Let's start by looking at the word class noun. What are the typical morphemic beginnings and endings of the noun word class? Well, we've already seen ing, ending, for example. We have, I should really stop. I have a tendency of using capital letters when I need to use lowercase letters. AL ending, refusal, for example. Ants, resistance. Dumb, kingdom. OR or ER, like in conquer. Well, an important one, ism. This is something you will see all the time. We talk about the important isms, liberalism and capitalism, communism, fascism, so forth. So ism is a morphemic ending, making something into a noun. We have IST, like in chemist. ITY, like in quality. Ship, like an internship. And ness, like in sadness. And this one is particularly commonly in use for making an adjective into a noun. Happiness, sadness, wildness. So if you have an adjective, often you can put ness at the end of it to make it into a noun. Right, so these are at least on sort of like a surface level, the noun morphemes that I could come up with. And I'm sure when you look at this, you recognize, yeah, of course, ants, like resistance, like refusal and rebuttal, ing, like any verb form could take, like walking. Yeah. So I'm sure you recognize these, but know that these are morphemes that turn words into nouns. Okay, so for the next word class, verbs. You could take a moment just to try to think for yourselves. What are the most typical morphemes or the suffixes or prefixes that make a word into a verb? Well, here are the four main ones that I have come up with. You have 8, like in to regulate. en, like in to awaken. And we have ify to terrify. And maybe the most common one, IZE or ISE for our British friends. To humanize, for example. So these are the main verb morphemes. Now all of these are at the end, which means that they are suffixes. I can mention that at the end, but when you hear prefix and suffix or affix, these are all just fancy words for morphemes. Okay, so those are the verb morphemes. Moving on, we have adjectives. Able or able. For example, presentable or edible, like this. AL, again, this is also used in nouns. Like in grammatical. Esque, which is not very commonly used. However, I have seen over the last couple of years this ending or this affix is being used more and more. Like just like ish has gotten very popular lately. Esque also seems to become more popular among people who want to sound fancy, I think. So if you say, this movie is very Tarantino-esque, then you're saying that the movie seems like it could maybe have been made by Quentin Tarantino. So esque and ish sort of serve the same function in a sense. Esque, for example, in picturesque, like this. Ish, like in childish. However, this is one that I want to hone in on, because ish has, maybe with my generation, ish has become a very flexible ending. So if somebody asks me, when are you gonna be here? And I say soon-ish. No. Well, it is soon, not exactly soon, but soon-ish. So that's one example of how these morphemes are they are always a part of a dynamic system, like languages. Okay, so ish, less, for example, we've already said endless. Un, which is attached at the beginning of a word. unsuccessful, for example. And just the classic Y ending, like healthy, greasy. So all of these are adjective or adjectival morphemes. That's just a fancy way of saying that these morphemes take a word or take a root or a stem of a word and turn those stems into adjectives. Finally, and this is going to be a short one. Well, color blue maybe. Adverb. I can only think of one adverbal morphemic ending, which is ly. Quickly, angrily, happily, and so forth. So the ly ending is very typical for adverbs in general. So those are the main morphemes that we use to morph words between word classes. Now, the $1,000,000 question is, who cares, right? Who cares? What are you ever going to use this for? Yeah? I'll tell you that the reason most human languages have evolved into being morphemic systems is because remembering these morphemes is easier than remembering a million different tools. Okay? So if we go back to this, remembering just these bits is easier for the head or for the mind, for the memory, than remembering just a million different, entirely unsystematic, wholesome words. And that's probably why languages have evolved to being morphemic systems. So if you know these, if you know morphemes, you can understand the word class, or you can get some of the meaning of a word you don't know just by knowing the morpheme. So if I say the word recombobulate to you, you might not know what this means. However, you recognize 8, and you will also probably recognize re. And 8 you can find under the verb morphemes. So you know that this is a verb. It has to be a verb. And re adds the meaning of happening again. So you know that this is a verb that is happening, that has happened before, basically. So you don't have to know the meaning of the word entirely, but if you know some of the morphemes attached to it, you can at least, it'll get you halfway there. At least to the degree that a sentence might might grammatically make sense to you if you know these morphemes. Furthermore, when producing your own language, knowing of these morphemes is just extremely useful. So being able to do this what am I doing? So, okay, let's just start with we have money, which I think we can reasonably assume to be the root here. You can add monetize to this, and then you have a verb. From here you can go to monetization, turning the verb into a noun. And then you can add demonetization. Meaning it's the opposite of this. Just being able to do this and knowing what you are actually doing is so useful when speaking and writing.